Hello, hello, songbirds. It is so good to see you. We are going to talk about pillar 3.2. What is your rep passion? So now that you have a sense of your range, you will want to experiment with lots of different genres of music. You probably already have a certain type of music you love and tend to listen to, but you love to sing as well, right? However, well, there are going to be a few things that you're going to need to ask yourself before you get started, okay? So you're going to ask yourself, is it suited to your voice type? Does it fit the type of performer that you want to be? Will you make money singing that style of music? Right? These are definitely questions that I want you to ponder and ask yourself. Ask yourself that right now, because it's so important for you to really think about, if you're going to be a singer, those are the things that you have to think about. Hello, Shan. So good to see you. I think it's just us today again, and I can actually probably get started again now that you're here. So we'll go ahead and start from the very beginning, okay?
Okay.
So when Shan, it's okay. When oh, I can't. Oh, there I am. So I'm already sharing. I think you can see it, right?
Yes, Karine.
You just waking up. You did not have to be here. I could have just.
No, Karine. I love to be here also.
Oh, good. Okay. So I'm going to start over and you'll just cut that first half. We'll start.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right. So it's okay because I just, I didn't love how I started it before already anyway. So I'll just start over. Hey, songbirds. So, okay, now that you have a sense of your range, you'll also want to experiment with lots of different genres of music. You probably have already a certain type of music that you love to listen to, that maybe you even love to sing, but there are definitely some important questions that I want you to ask yourself before you start singing these songs. Is it suited to your voice type? And now that you know an idea of your range, you'll know whether or not it's suited to your voice type, right? Does it fit the type of performer that you want to be? And we'll get into that a little bit later in 3.3 when we talk about who your audience is, right? And will you make money singing it, right? Because maybe some people love doing, really academic type of music with 12-tone rows, but not everybody loves to listen to that music. Okay, so the audience is very small when it comes to that type of music. Okay, and there's lots of different genres out there that are really fun and maybe very, academic, and you love learning it, but it may not have an audience. And that's what I want you to consider. So are you going to make money singing that kind of music? All right. These are really important questions to ask yourself, because I don't want you to have to learn the hard way. And this music that you love, it may not be suited to you and your voice type, or even the type of performer you want to be, or if you'll make money, right? And if you don't want to make money and you just want it to be a hobby, that is totally cool too, right? Because we need that kind of music out there still. It's just a matter of whether or not you're going to have an audience for it, right? Okay, so here are some things to think about. You may love listening to opera, and maybe you discover that your voice is really well suited to it, okay? But what if you don't want to spend a decade and tens of thousands of dollars training your voice to just maybe get a short-term contract once a year? And I'm not saying you will. You might get an entire year-long contract at the Met, and that will happen the longer you stick with it and the more you train your voice, right? But for instance, my choice was, I studied opera and I got my master's degree in it, and I loved to sing opera, but I realized that it would take a lot longer in my training to really go into that field. And I was already making money singing in pop bands, and I was touring with musical theater, going to New York. So that was something that I chose not to do as a profession. But I have a lot of other friends who did, and they did very well. They succeeded in that. They got contracts at the Met, contracts in Germany, places like that, and they actually did well. Okay. I chose a different path because I wanted to get started right away. So I chose to go the crossover and musical theater route. Okay. And I do opera in my shows, but I don't necessarily have contracts in the theaters, right? So that path was not for me. That path may not be for you, right? But it might be for you. Okay. So that may be something to think about. All right. Maybe you're obsessed with it. Like my friends, I have several friends that were just obsessed and they wanted to do it. And I have multiple friends who they stuck with it and they got big contracts at the Metropolitan Opera, right? If that's all you want to do, and you'll get a long-term contract with that A house, right? La Scala, Metropolitan Opera, those places, they need singers. They might need you. So that may be the choice that you make. And that's a really strong choice, especially if you know you want that, you can attain that. You will get that. You just have to stick with it, right? Okay. You have to put all of your time and effort into that path. All right. So here's another question to ask. Maybe you've been taking dance lessons for years and you decide to go for the gusto and become a triple threat, right? And that triple threat is acting, dancing, and singing. So you want to get on the Broadway circuit. Okay, you still have to train your voice. You still have to train in dancing and acting, but you can actually do that simultaneously with while you're doing auditions in New York or anywhere, even locally, right? So that could be what you possibly want to do. But before I took voice lessons, I loved rock and roll and alternative music. I still do. I still love listening to it. In fact, my favorite rock band, who's in the middle there, that's Midnight Oil. They're my favorite rock band of all time. I will travel the world to see them, and I have. So the lead singer has an inimitable voice, right? So unique, you cannot replicate the sound of his voice. It's strong, it's passionate. Even when I was an untrained singer, I definitely could not reproduce this unique sound he was famous for. So I chose not to try. And instead, I'm passionate, I listen to it, and I sing it the way I sing it, right? You got to find your true voice. So with the guidance of my voice teacher, I was exposed to many different genres of music. Okay, I decided to hone my skills and my technique, and I discovered that my voice was very flexible. It was very suited for belting and opera. I didn't even really like classical music at the time, and I just discovered that I could sing it, but now I love it and I love listening to it too. So not only do I love to sing it and train, even though I'm not doing opera contracts, I actually love to sing it. And so I'll try something new and something just fun to sing. And I do have outlets where I can sing opera and classical music as well. Okay. So learning what your voice, your unique voice is capable of will definitely guide your ear to listening to music that you normally wouldn't listen to on your own, right? Your voice teacher will guide you and have you listening to things that you never thought you would. And that could potentially lead you to a passion that you didn't know you had. Okay, so you've got to maintain kind of an open mind when you're listening to the guidance of your voice teacher. Okay, so rest assured, no matter what path that you choose, as long as you have talent, tenacity, and can persevere, you can and you will make it in this business. It is an unquestionable guarantee, but you have to have those things. You've got to have perseverance, tenacity, which is like grit, and the talent to sing too, right? Even if you think you don't have talent, the more you have tenacity and the more you have perseverance, You will still make it in this business because there are plenty of people who don't have that gorgeous, beautiful, supple, operatic sound. Just because they don't have that doesn't mean they can't make it. Just like my favorite singer. And hopefully you'll get to listen to them sometime. Their name is Midnight Oil. Wonderful band. Okay. So let's just dive right into finding music you're already passionate about. And let's discover maybe some new music that you never thought you'd be passionate about. Okay. So first, you have to start with finding the music that you love to listen to, right? What genre does that music belong? Don't know. I don't know because you're the one who knows. Is it in your vocal range? Okay. Now, this is the second step, really. You want your voice teacher or coach to choose music for you. And I want you to give it a chance because they actually know what's right for your voice type, okay? And what's right in your range. So they can help guide you into music that you sing. And when you learn to sing that music, they actually, it might actually become like the best repertoire for you. And you just want to keep singing it over and over again. And then you have a whole new passion that you didn't know existed, and that becomes your favorite music to sing. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about passion. Where does passion come from? Okay. Well, I like to refer to a song called The Lass with the Delicate Air. So you are not just a lad or a lass with the delicate air. It's an art song. And you're not just a singer with the voice of an angel, is what some people would say, right? Blah, blah, blah. And I even call you songbirds. You are more than just a songbird too. You're a storyteller, okay? Telling a story means expressing every nuance of that story from your open heart space, okay? And if you do this, you become a heart-centered singer, right? You are telling that story from your heart, okay? So here's some questions. When you sing, are you just singing notes and words? Or are you telling the story? Are you emoting? Meaning, are you sharing the emotion of the story, right? Are you speaking from your heart to reach into other people's hearts? It's a really important question. You have to consider those things, okay? How do we get there, though? We'll get there in a second, okay? How do you express from your heart, say, when your body tenses up, okay? And when your vocal technique's not solid yet? How do you emote when you don't quite have the song memorized yet? Okay. Or what if you're just uncomfortable with your surroundings on stage or in a recording studio? It's all new to you and you're just not sure where you are or what to do, or maybe the sound system isn't quite working. What do you do in those situations, right? Okay. You still have to perform. You still have to sing, and you still have to look like you love it, even if you're feeling tense or you're scared or you're uncomfortable or you don't have the song memorized yet, right? You have to express from your heart space. And that does take practice because you have to let that technique go and just sing, right? Expressing from your heart space happens when you are fully confident in all of the technical aspects of the performance, including the song, the musical elements, the performance elements, like we talked about. I think at one point we talked about the performance elements like the lighting or the costumes or your makeup or your wig or a headpiece or anything like that. The shoes that you're wearing, what if they're too tight? What if they're too loose? Okay. And of course, your vocal technique. Okay. Expressing from your heart space happens when you don't have to think about anything at all, and you can just let your heart be open to telling the story, okay? It means being secure and trusting that all the work that you put into committing that song to memory or the full show to memory, that it will be there in your memory, in your muscle memory, no matter what curveballs might happen during a performance. And boy, I could tell you about some curveballs, okay? Like my skirt completely falling to my ankles during a show in front of like 1,000 people. Yeah, that did happen. And other things happen. That's just one thing that's happened to me because it's live performance, theater, okay? It happens. Okay. Just remember, singing goes beyond just memorizing the words of a song. It is also telling a story in how you breathe, breathing in and making that part of the story, how you stand, how you are carrying yourself on stage is all part of the story. Of course, also how well you express singing those notes and using your best vocal technique. Even the silence between the singing is part of the story that you're telling, okay? Taking a breath is part of the story that you are telling. And all this takes time. It takes time, okay? All right. Have you ever watched Jonathan Groff singing You'll Be Back in Hamilton? It is an art form unto itself, okay? Let's just talk about this for a second. I'm going to revel in this because this is one of the greatest moments in emoting in recent memory, okay? So he hardly moves an inch. And the costume that he's wearing barely allows him to. It is such a heavy costume, okay? But he has to emote everything from his face. And he might have a little bit of movement in his hands like you see here in this picture, but everything happened right here, okay? So it's all in that facial expression. It's really easy to do when you're on camera, right, on TV, but very difficult to convey to a large audience from a small stage, okay? So how else did he have to emote? He emoted with his breath and the voice, of course, and very subtle body movement. His energy, it was so contained, but so intense. And his facial expressions were just larger than life, right? It was like the kind you might see on an actor in a silent film where it's big, right? Yeah. Okay. So going further into letting go, I want to ask this, okay? Once you have all of those technical elements of singing down pat, most of the time when you're on stage, you have to have so much more freedom of movement than the character that King George has, right, in Hamilton. But do you move freely as you sing? Do you? Do you have a strong awareness of where your energy is going while you're singing? Are you focusing so much on your vocal technique that you can't seem to generate deliberate, calculated movement in the rest of your body yet? Okay. And I'm talking about the kind of movement that's not nervous or involuntary, right? Because we all have these nervous little tics, and we'll go into that in future pillars. I'm going to talk about that. Okay. But the kind of movement that's conscious, composed, and purposeful. All right. We will definitely talk about that more in pillar 4. Okay. So today I really just want you to consider those things though, because when you're passionate about a particular song, you will naturally emote that passion in your performance. You just will. Okay. So this is the starting point for the music that you choose to sing, okay? By the way, there will be lots of songs or even genres of music that you won't be as passionate about, but you might need to look like you are because of who the audience is, okay? And we'll address that more in pillar 3.3, who's your audience, okay? So let's talk a little bit about the types of repertoire that's out there for you to add to your rep book. Okay, and we'll delve deeper into that actually next week in pillar 3.4, which is your rep book, getting organized. All right. all music will fit into a genre, including the music that you may be even writing as a singer-songwriter. Okay, but we can further break those genres down into subgenres as well. Okay, but let's take a look at some of these genres right now. We've got musical theater, Great American Songbook, which is like your jazz, your older pop music that has maybe even turned into a movie or a show. That's called the Great American Songbook. Okay, Cole Porter, Duke Ellington, all of those kinds of songs that you've probably heard or maybe don't know you've heard or are familiar with, right? Then you have straight up pop and top 40s, right? What about world music and folk music as well? Then you have classical, which is technically an era of music, but we, for the sake of just kind of being generalized, we're going to call it classical music and choral music as well. And they kind of go hand in hand, those two. But choral music, we often sing masterworks, okay, oratorio and things like that. And also we'll do, pop music or contemporary classical music as well. All right, so you may choose to have a very diverse career in the performing arts, right? Or you may choose one type of genre or performing that suits you best, right? So you might choose one path or the other. And if you choose one that stays the course within one type of performing, like singing in a rock band or on the grand opera stage, you might choose one or the other, or just musical theater, right? So those are the things that you want to think about. And if you're just getting started and you're just considering a career in singing, this is what we want to think about right now, okay? Once you start off rather diverse, you might be singing in a chorus, maybe you got a solo, maybe you tried a musical in the school play, or maybe you're in your 20s and you've tried all kinds of things and now you want to just try one type of performing. This is what you want to consider, okay? All right. So for me personally, I treated my early career like one big musical experiment, okay? And I still do it that way. And I'm not going to tell you how old I am right now, but I still perform and I still have a very diverse career in performing, all right? I just really love to challenge my voice and I love performing. I love to sing. I love the voice, okay? It led me being that versatile and choosing different paths to sing in. I sang in a band. I sang in the musicals. I did Broadway musicals. I did touring and I sang on cruise ships. And now I have my own show, right? This led me, being that diverse, led me to a career of singing on cruise ships, which you have to be a very versatile singer to sing on cruise ships, right? It ultimately led me to producing my own solo headlining shows, okay? That's where I could just sing whatever I felt like singing. And I kind of like that. I just really love all the nuances and the flexibility, the resonance of the voice and what it's capable of. I love the depth of study and musicianship and classical music and choral masterworks. I still sing in a choir and I just absolutely love it. It's a masterworks choir. We sing with the orchestra. I love the grandeur of opera. I love the high energy of singing in bands. And I kind of love the limitless storytelling of musical theater through dancing, singing, and acting. Okay. So for me, the voice itself is truly my passion, and using my voice, my singing voice, to tell my own stories in the cabaret format, that's what really gets my heart beating strong. So my passion is in the voice, okay? I teach this versatility to my private students so that you eventually will choose a path that you love while having a deep understanding and appreciation of other genres as well. All right. The trick really is to discovering elements of the music that causes that spark. And you might find yourself studying and practicing several genres on that list. And you might not feel as passionate at first. Okay. You just have to find something inside of you that creates a little bit of spark. And it might just be what the voice is capable of doing. Okay. So it's really how it fits perfectly in your singing voice. How does it fit in your singing voice? Is it the message in the song? Is it the melody? Is it the intricate or even simple harmonies? Is it the level of musicianship that it evokes? These are all things to think about because you never know what that spark might be for you. There will be something in there that will awaken a part of you that drives the passion, even if it's music you've sung 100 times or more. Okay, that's the beauty of singing. So you get to explore the music deeper and deeper every time you sing it. And you get to go deep within yourself to discover parts of your humanity, parts of your soul, your spirit, even your increased level of expertise. The more you sing a song, the more familiar your voice becomes, and it's suited to that voice even more because now it's so ingrained in your muscle memory, right? So those things will drive you to want to do more, to be more, to want more, to get better and better in some way. Okay, it really kind of becomes addictive. It does. It's magical. Singing is magical, but sometimes you can lose sight of that magic when you're studying it. Okay, and you get lost in academia. It might happen. You will get back on track because there is a new kind of magic when you get on stage. All right. Even if you're singing music you didn't choose for yourself, okay, that magic is in the audience's reaction to your singing. So find that passion in yourself and you'll find passion in any music that you're singing because your audience loves to hear you sing, okay? All right, we'll discuss more about that in Pillar 3.3, who's your audience. But for now, I want you to take on this new mission. Should you choose to accept it, on your worksheet, write down at least one song you could listen to over and over and over and never get tired of it. I want you to ask these questions and answer these questions. What genre does this music belong to? Okay. What are the feelings that it evokes inside of you? Now, if you have the practice journal, okay, this is a great place to kind of explore that because I ask questions regarding that very thing, okay? And ask yourself, is it in your vocal range? Okay, so the other part of this mission is if you have a voice teacher, let your teacher choose a song for you. All right. If you don't have a voice teacher yet, email me. I don't mind. I will help you. Okay. And I will guide you to explore songs that are best for your range. All right. So I want you to ask yourself these questions. Once you get assigned a new song, ask those questions again, right? What genre does this music belong to? What feelings this new to you music evokes inside of you, whether it's not passionate or you are finding something in that song that just kind of sparks. You're like, that's interesting. Remember to give assigned music a chance. Okay. This may be one day your favorite music to sing. All right. All right, songbirds, thank you all so much for joining me in this lesson today in Pillar 3.2, What's Your Passion? The next one is going to be all about who your audience is. We got to figure out who you're going to sing for, right? And then the very last lesson in this pillar is we're going to have something very special for you. I'm going to have something special for you. I've created a spreadsheet that is going to help keep track of all the music that you know, all the music that you're learning. And I really can't wait to share that with you. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson and I will talk to you soon, songbirds.